Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, April the 24th, 2018. Good to have you all here for our first and only show of this week. We've got a very busy show, so let's get right down to it. As we start off the show, as always, I want to remind you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember, use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding the show. Facebook, search for In Spotlight 401 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page, please, so that you can follow us and enjoy us and all that good stuff. All right, so here we are on, again, our first and only show this week. This will be our last show of April. Next week when we join you, it will be May. And you know what that means? That means the summer movie season, and that's why we'll be doing our summer movie preview, not like we did a long time ago. For those of you that have been with us since the beginning, we used to do a long, drawn-out kind of segment on this. We don't do that anymore. Kind of like with some other segments, we don't do as long anymore. So it's going to just be like a segment, and we'll kind of combine it with our box office beat to save some time. So, our box office beat will also include kind of like our summer movie preview. So we are kind of like a combined segment. So you'll get that tonight as we start the summer movie season a little bit early, a week earlier, with the arrival of Avengers: Infinity War. So we'll talk about that here tonight. We also have our In the Spotlight TV picks of the week, along with our box office, which again will be combined for our summer movie preview. And then we have to preview, we got a couple of wrestling things to get to. We'll talk about this week's events, including WWE's greatest Royal Rumble event. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Raw and SmackDown. And on the sports side of things, we're not going to do a whole lot, so I'm just going to do a little bit on the NBA playoffs. MLB, I think I did like a general segment last week. We're not going to really, I put it in the show description, but we're not going to really do anything with that this week. Our MLB preview will be next Tuesday. I've been talking about it. I wasn't going to do it tonight, but then I said, let's just do the summer movie preview first. We'll do summer movie preview tonight, and then MLB preview next week. And that'll be good because games are finally starting to get played as the weather is finally warming up. So with that, games are starting to get played. You're getting more of a sense of some of these teams. So it makes more sense to do it next week anyway. So we'll do that next week. So you can look forward to that. For those who have been waiting for that, you'll get to see that next week on the program. Okay, so you got all that. So we got a very busy show. So we got a lot to get to tonight. So we'll begin in just a moment here. Let me just make sure I got all this stuff posted here. Hopefully I can get this up. So hang on a second here. There we go. Here it is. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Just had to get the links posted. Last time I didn't post them till late, and that was bad on me. We don't want to do that. So, yeah. All right. So tonight we're going to start. Lately we've been starting with the box office and then kind of working our way through. Tonight we're not going to do that. We're going to start with sports. We're going to do the NBA stuff and then kind of move on and then go into wrestling, and then we're going to do the entertainment stuff last. That figures to be the longer part of the show tonight. So that's why we'll leave that for last. And that's usually what happens as we go towards summer. Entertainment takes on a bigger importance on our show. It kind of gets us through the summer months. Really quickly, though, I want to acknowledge one thing because I got a lot of mail about this, and I do recognize that this year there's a lot of compelling storylines and there's a lot of interest, and look, there's compelling storylines and interest every year. But here's the thing, folks: the NFL draft. We do talk about the NBA draft on the show. That's pretty much the only draft that we talk about on the show. Why don't we talk about the NFL draft? Well, because enough people do that. Most of the time we don't have the time to do that. And quite frankly, I just don't, I don't, for me, yes, sometimes you see compelling storylines, towards the top of the draft that people, focus on. But honestly, unless you're a diehard football fan, okay, and I like football. I don't consider myself a diehard fan. But unless you're a diehard football fan, honest to God, I don't think you care. I'm sorry. I just don't. I just don't think you care. So we've never covered it. We're never going to cover it. We might talk about it a little bit next week after the fact, but we certainly don't give it the coverage that the NBA draft gets on the show. I talk about the NBA draft more because I feel like you can talk about more. It's not as long. It's 2 rounds and then it's done. So that's what we've always done. That's what we're going to stick to. So, for those that are new to our show and not really familiar with how we do things, that's how we've always done it. and that's how we're going to continue to do it. So just be aware of that here. Just be aware of that, and that as to how we're going to handle this coverage and everything else, so that you don't get like, oh wait, not coming to the NFL draft. That's the reason why. So, if you're wondering, that's why we don't cover it. So, all right, so just gotta get that out of the way right off the top here. All right. So with that being said, let me, as I said, start with what I told you we're going to start with, which is sports. Now, again, we're not going to do any MLB stuff because really nothing warrants that being discussed right now. We'll do our MLB preview next week. We'll kind of lump it all in next week. So the only sports stuff we're going to do tonight is the NBA, and we'll do that right now. As we talk NBA playoffs, which have become very interesting, probably one of the more interesting first rounds of the last I would say maybe 5 years. Let's see here. All right, so as we look at where we're at here with these series, okay. First of all, the Pelicans have taken care of business against Portland. They have moved on. Dominant performance by the Pelicans, who have gotten better without DeMarcus Cousins. Anthony Davis has just completely taken over. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun to watch them play. They've already moved on. Portland, you have to wonder where they go here. Portland's got 2 superstar players. They have a very good team. They had a breakout year, but they end up exactly in the same spot as they've been, which is out early in the playoffs. So it's just they really are at a crossroads. Do they make a coaching change? What do they do? Now, let me just throw a little something at you here with the Pelicans, okay? A lot of people are going to talk about the Pelicans this offseason, no matter what they do here. And Pelicans have a good chance to go at least another round in these playoffs. They have a very good chance of going at least another round. So they're going to be something interesting to watch. But regardless of how far they go here and what happens with them, the biggest question going forward for the New Orleans Pelicans is going to be DeMarcus Cousins. What do they do with DeMarcus Cousins? Because they're clearly a better team without him, and he's worth a lot of value. What do they do with him? Do they use him to get something that they're a missing piece? What do they do? I mean, I honestly think the writing's on the wall, and they're going to try to move him. And I think that's what they should do. But that's going to be a big source of discussion going forward. But right now, the focus is on the here and now. They move on. Portland goes home. Disappointment again for them here as you move forward here. And that was first team to advance in the West is Portland. Houston right now is up 3-1 on Minnesota. It looks like they're going to close this thing up. Minnesota maybe, again, I would say maybe they could get an extra game if they weren't playing at Houston tomorrow night, but they are playing at Houston, so I suspect Houston will finish this thing off tomorrow night. The Wolves are a very good team, but they're missing some pieces. They're not ready. This was kind of like their first ascension here. They'll get better. This was a nice learning experience for them, but Houston, I think, will advance here. I think they do it tomorrow night. So not much going in that series here. San Antonio, obviously, we want to express our condolences to Greg Popovich on the death of his wife. It's a horrible, horrible tragedy. Our prayers go out to him and his wife, rest in peace. It's a horrible tragedy. And you saw the impact it's had on a lot of these players and how emotional they got over this. So a very sad thing. The Spurs were never going to get out of this series. And really, I don't even think their hearts and minds are on basketball right now. I really don't. The Warriors will probably finish this thing out tonight, I'd imagine. Spurs did get a game 4. Popovich is not coaching. He probably won't coach the rest of the series. The Spurs did get a game. They played very well. They've been very valiant, as you'd expect them to be, but Golden State's going to advance here. And they'll probably do this tomorrow night, so not much going in that series. The Thunder and the Jazz lead that series 3-1. The Jazz have been the dominant team. It's their defense is ruling over the Thunder's offense. The only game that the Thunder have been able to impose their offensive will is in Game 1, which they won. The Jazz have taken full advantage of the fact that the Thunder do not play defense, and they've been able to have their way on offense, while at the same time they're able to actually lock down the Thunder. And the Thunder, all the strides that they made in the season, coming together as a team, the big three, and gelling together have gone away. They've fallen completely apart. Russell Westbrook has lost his cool. He's made some mistakes and kind of been just and quite frankly, he's embarrassed himself, and he's put his team in a bad bind a couple times here. And George is kind of trying to do the best he can. Carmelo Anthony is kind of struggling. It's just been a mess. So I suspect the Thunder will probably take Game 5 tomorrow. I don't think they'll lose this series at home. But I have this feel. I think Utah's going to get this done in 6. I really do. I think Utah. I had this series pegged maybe to go 7, but I don't think it's going to go 7. I think the Jazz will take care of business at home. Their defense just too good. After Game 1, they really refocused, and they've been very, very good in this series defensively. And I suspect that they'll close this thing out in Game 6. And so, yeah, that's the West. So the West right now, looks like Houston's going to advance. It looks like Golden State's going to advance. Pelicans have already advanced, and I suspect that the Jazz will advance. And so you got some new teams in there and some of the old guards. So a nice little mixture. On the East side of things are, I would say, a little bit more interesting. The Raptors and the Wizards are tied at 2 games apiece. If I'm Toronto, I'm very, very, very worried right now because first of all, you could say, well, wait a minute, why should they be worried? This series has held according to home court, right? That the Toronto's won both their home games, the Wizards have won both their home games. And you might say, well, wait a minute, the Raptors, if it goes 7, which it could very well do, as this series has gone, you could look at this and go, okay, this is going to go 7. So what if it goes 7, right? Toronto's got Game 7 in their backyard. I mean, at home. Here's the thing, okay? Toronto is better, yes. Okay, we get that, but you don't like to take chances, especially in an opening series. You don't take chances. You don't want this to go 7. You don't want this to go 7. You never want these series to go 7. You're so much better than the Wizards. It shouldn't even get to this point, given how the Wizards were doing going into the series. So I would worry very much if I'm Toronto because, yeah, okay, Toronto will probably win Game 5 in Toronto tomorrow night. But the way this series has gone, the Wizards probably figured to win their home game. They played very well at home. So if that's the case, all the Wizards have to do is figure out a way to win a game in Toronto, 1 game. And they can do that. They're fully capable of that. So I don't know if you're Toronto, I don't know if you want to leave that to chance. So my advice is to try to get this thing done in 6 and try to win that game on the road at Washington so you don't have to worry about that Game 7, whether it's in your building or not. So that series has gotten much more interesting than it probably should be. Same thing with the Celtics and the Bucks. Now, you could say maybe the Irving injury has hamstrung the Celtics enough to have made this an interesting series. And you could say that. But to me, the Celtics are still so much better than the Bucks, even though the Bucks have a lot of talent, that this series should not be like this. It's, again, I feel the same way about this series I do about Toronto and Washington. You're much better than this team. You should not be in this situation. Now, again, same thing as Toronto. Boston will probably win their home game tomorrow night. But the way this series has gone, home court has served the home team. The Bucks figured to win Game 6, and then you're in a Game 7 situation. And maybe the Celtics more so than the Raptors, who I feel like the Raptors have a much better home court advantage. The Celtics are far more vulnerable than the Raptors because of the injuries. So if you're the Celtics, you don't really want to take a chance in a Game 7. You really don't. Got what the injuries you have. So very worried about the Celtics here. Maybe more so than the Raptors. I'm worried about both of them, but Celtics a little bit more. That series has been interesting, much more interesting again than the plan. The Sixers have been amazing in this postseason. Right next to the Pelicans, I think that the Sixers have been the most impressive. They took the first game in dominant fashion. The Heat took Game 2 behind a great performance by Dwayne Wade, and then they won the last 2. The third Game 3 they won convincingly, and the last one they held off the Heat. The Sixers are in prime position here. They will be moving on. The Heat are playing tonight against Philly. Some people believe that this could be Dwayne Wade's last game if the Heat lose. We'll see. He's kind of had a little bit of a little renaissance, but we'll see. Right now, the Sixers are up 66-54. By the way, Boston won earlier tonight, 92-87, which, again, I figured they'd win their home game. So they're up 3-2 in that series. Like Toronto, I think it behooves Boston to get this done in 6. Like I said, for reasons I mentioned earlier. So, but yeah, the Sixers, I think, will finish this thing off tonight. But even at home, I think they will. And I think the Sixers are a very dangerous team. They're ready. They are very ready for this, and they've proven themselves. They proved a lot of people wrong. They're ready for this, and you give them a lot of credit. They played well, and a lot of people think they might be missing one piece. We'll see what they're missing going forward here. Right now, they don't look like they're missing anything in this series. So you figure the Sixers will advance tonight and end that series, and then the series that all eyes have been on, and that is Cleveland and Indiana, which is tied at 2 games apiece. So all the series in the East are tied at 2 games apiece, but the Sixers and the Heat, which is amazing. We talked about Game 1 and how the Pacers just destroyed the Cavs. Cavs win Game 2 barely, gut check win. Cavs had Game 3 in their pocket, and they let the Pacers come right back on them and eke out a win. And then Game 4, the Cavs barely win. So even the games that the Cavs have won, they barely won. Barely won. What does that say about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Look, Indiana Pacers, I mentioned this last week. The Indiana Pacers are not a bad team. They're not a bad team, okay? But the Cavs' performance in this series, look, LeBron's been fine. You've gotten here and there, you've gotten a decent performance, but realistically speaking, I don't think if Cleveland gets out of this series, I don't think they're getting out of the second round. I really don't. Because they're going to face somebody much better. They're going to face the 1 seed. They're going to face Toronto. Now, I don't know if I see them beating Toronto. I don't know if I see them. I think they could beat Boston. I don't think they could even beat Cleveland. I really don't. I don't think they could beat them. So I just think what you've seen in this series is a Cavs team that's nowhere near what they once were, and it is what it is. Tomorrow night, this game to me comes down to this: if the Pacers have a chance at winning this series, I think they have to win Game 5. If they win Game 5, I think they'll win this series in 6. I really do think they'll go home and win it. I think they'd break the Cavs. If they don't, I think there's a chance the series goes 7, but I think if it's 7, I think the Cavs will eke out the series. Because in their building, I think they just find a way to get it done. So really, to me, this series comes down to Game 5 tomorrow night. If Indiana wins it, then I think Indiana will come out of the series. I really do. I think the winner of that game comes out of the series. So very interesting on, especially on the East side of things, but a lot of interesting stuff. Like I said, every series in the East, but the Sixers and the Heat is really interesting. And on the West side of things, you got, no, actually, it's just the Eastern side of things. All the West series look like they're almost done. So the Eastern side of things, very, very interesting in the NBA playoffs. Very interesting. And the West looks like it's about ready to move forward. So, interesting things. We'll see what happens this week, because by the time we next talk to you all next Tuesday, we'll have our field. We'll know who's in the second round. Like I said, the West looks like it's about to be finished. The East is where things are close. I would still suspect that Toronto, Boston, Cleveland will all advance along with the Sixers. I still think the higher seeds will prevail, but in Toronto and Boston's case, and even Cleveland's, it's a little worrisome. It really is. It really is. So we'll see how things pan out here over this next week. It's been interesting. And the Pelicans and the Sixers have been very, very impressive in these playoffs. It's been a very interesting playoff so far. Very interesting. Mike's been up on the board for a while. Mike, how you doing? You're in the spotlight.
I was going to say something witty. No, I'm not.
Okay. Do you have any NBA thoughts?
Do I have any NBA thoughts?
Yeah.
All right. I will take less time than you.
Of course you will.
Who would have thought the Jazz would be up 3-1 on Oklahoma City 2 months ago. Well, here we are. I don't think Oklahoma City is going to make it past the first round. So much for Russell Westbrook and all of his triple doubles. Hey. Golden State's going to beat San Antonio. Even before everything happened, it was San Antonio wasn't there, and Kawhi Leonard. I believe the term is wimped out. I believe we covered that last week. Kawhi Leonard not playing for the Spurs in a very winnable series, I would think. If Kawhi Leonard played with the Spurs, would probably be at least tied right now. Probably maybe going 7. But Kawhi Leonard wimping out because he had a bit of a boo-boo on his quad. It wasn't torn. It wasn't really bruised. It just hurt a little bit. But Kawhi Leonard and his boo-boo pretty much doomed the Spurs. But again, condolences to Greg Popovich and his family. Not whatever you said, but
wow.
It was just a word thing. It wasn't the sentiment. Yes, condolences to Greg Popovich and his family and friends over the loss of his wife. It'll be hard for the Spurs to kind of move past that. They won a game, but that's all you can hope for. Toronto and Washington being tied is surprising. Toronto is way better than Washington, but they haven't shown it, so we'll see. The Rockets are up, which is, I don't know. I would have, yes, Minnesota is pretty much outmatched this round, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This might be a new James Harden, at least for this series, because James Harden typically disappears in games like this, and he hasn't done it yet. So good for James Harden. He hasn't disappeared totally. Celtics are up 3-2 on Milwaukee. That is a closer series than it had any right to be. If Milwaukee pulls the upset, it kind of leaves an open path for Cleveland, but Cleveland's in a dogfight too with Indiana. So, and by the way, the only reason why Cleveland's even in this series is because LeBron scores 40 every single time. If LeBron James scores less than 40, generally wins. So much for Cleveland. So LeBron James has to go 40 for Cleveland to be in the game. It's really rough. Let's see. Pelicans win. Kind of broke through a wall a little bit. Portland is pretty much stuck in neutral. They're not getting past this. The Sixers are beating up Miami. Miami's good, but they're not where they were. Trust the process, I guess. But honestly, even with Boston going up 3-2 in Milwaukee, it's the East is wide open. The West still runs through Golden State. Take it as you will. I know everything's changed and teams got better. The West runs through Golden State, period. The East is anybody could come out of the East. Anybody. Except for Miami. Miami's pretty much done. So, yeah. The NBA, the playoffs are heating up a little bit. We're coming to the conclusion of some of these series. So, here we are.
Okay, so we'll see. Like I said, I figure it's to be an interesting. By next week, we'll know who the field is, and on the Eastern side, things could be very surprising. Western side things, maybe not so much, but on the Eastern side, things could be very, very surprising who ends up advancing. So, all right, that's the only sports stuff we're going to do tonight because, again, MLB stuff will wait till next week when we do the preview. So we'll move in, as I said earlier, just going to move on from sports now after the NBA stuff and move into wrestling because we're going to do the entertainment stuff last tonight. And we're going to jump into really looking at this week's Greatest Royal Rumble event, which will be taking place on Friday, we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, the build-up with Raw last night. SmackDown will be finishing up in a few minutes, but we'll start with Raw last night, which really wasn't much. We had a great tag match with Strowman, Bobby Lashley, and Owens and Zayn, which was fantastic. We had the Divas main event, which was essentially a way to women's main event, which was essentially a way to get Ronda out there in the main event and set up her situation with Mickie James and further the whole thing with Natalya. So you had that. You had the Brock Lesnar stuff at the beginning, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. But generally speaking, there really wasn't a whole lot needed on the show. I mean, they furthered McIntyre and Ziggler. They set up Rude and Elias, but really wasn't much notable about last night. Really. Now tonight, a couple of things for as far as SmackDown goes. They're already moving on to announcing matches for Backlash, which, I mean, Raw has too, but they announced tonight that Daniel Bryan's going to be facing Big Cass at Backlash, which is not surprising given given what's been going on. So right now you got Daniel Bryan.
Given where they're building the storyline, given where they're going with the storyline, it's not surprising they're going to build up Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. What a big moment for Cass.
Yeah, it's sink or swim with that one. But yeah, so you got Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns, women's title match with Charlotte and Carmella, Raw women's match between Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy for the U.S. title, and The Miz versus Rollins for the Intercontinental title. Now, of course, all those matches, we'll see if anything changes after the Greatest Royal Rumble on Friday, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But really, outside of, again, tonight, outside of the Daniel Bryan Big Cass stuff, I don't really think too much happened on SmackDown. I'm trying to pull up. I haven't been watching it tonight.
Apparently, SmackDown was a very interesting show.
Yeah.
Now that Asuka finally lost a match, she's apparently free to lose more matches now. But I mean, Becky Lynch ate the pin in a match versus Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. So Asuka didn't pin, but her team lost the match.
Right.
So.
I see that the Miz TV stuff with Daniel Bryan was really good.
Because the Miz TV didn't have Daniel Bryan, it had Big Cass.
Yeah. I mean, realistically I know that, but it's the whole thing was the Miz TV stuff was really good. We had Jimmy Uso versus Eric Rowan. I'm just trying to.
Only one notable thing happened to that match, and that was Naomi coming out, and Eric Rowan got distracted by the booty.
Also, Shelton Benjamin beat Randy Orton.
Yeah. Yes. There was heavy interference, so Randy Orton lost to Shelton, which is good. It kind of helped Shelton out a little bit.
And we had Styles, Gallows, and Anderson versus Rusev, Aiden English, and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that ended up. I'm not seeing the spoilers yet for that, but
all right. I'm just going to spoil that match. Nakamura, Rusev, and Aiden English beat the Club.
Okay.
Rusev Anderson into the post, allowing Nakamura to hit the Kinshasa. Post-match, Styles attacks Nakamura, but Nakamura got him again. Shinsuke Nakamura's new gimmick of fist to dick happened again. He got AJ Styles right in the dick one more time.
Boy,
he went to hit the Kinshasa on he went to hit the Kinshasa on AJ, but Carl Anderson came in and took the bullet. So Shinsuke just apparently shrugged, and apparently Rusev and Aiden English apparently held him down, I guess. Judging by this write-up, I could be wrong. And then he made AJ Styles, Carl Anderson take another Kinshasa. God, Shinsuke Nakamura is on fire right now.
It's like
I don't know.
It's like-
Shinsuke's new gimmick of punching guys right in the balls. It works.
it's what it's like your gimmick in the video games all the time.
Oh yes.
It's like somebody in the back really likes that gimmick. I don't know.
Yes. And his name rhymes with Mince McMahon. So we're just gonna have Shinsuke punch AJ right in the dick. Yeah, get everybody over. And of course another guy who let's say his name rhymes with Nipple Beach. He's like, yeah. Yeah, and then you know what he could do? He could hit him in the dick again. Yeah. And of course, another guy's with Bode Log, who's like, yeah, daddy, he's just going to keep punching AJ right in the dick. It's going to be great. So, oh, you didn't know? Shinsuke's fist is going to hit AJ right in the dick.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's such a great gimmick. I don't care.
It's enjoyable. But yeah, so all right, so SmackDown seems a little bit more eventful. This has been very difficult for them because they're essentially setting up this event for Friday, but then they also have to set up a pay-per-view for next week. So it's been kind of weird, but they've done a good job with it. And again, the event this week, the Greatest Royal Rumble, which taking place from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Friday at 12 Eastern on the WWE Network. There'll be a kickoff show at 11 Eastern. So, big event, supposed to go like 6.
For the record, this is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is noon. This isn't any of that New Japan crap where you got to be up at 3 a.m. No, this is 12. This is noon Eastern Time.
Right.
So
right. So you have this going on Friday. So if you want to miss work, go ahead, I suppose. But anyway, it's expected to be a long event and maybe 1 hour less than WrestleMania was. So it's expected to be a long event. Now, we're going to quickly go through these matches. We're not going to spend too much time on because we got other things to do. But we will, just kind of go through it quickly and go from there. But let's see here. Just going to click on the preview here.
Okay. There is a little bit of controversy surrounding this network special because there are exactly 0 women going to be on the card. In fact, nobody thinks Stephanie McMahon will be there either. But that has more to do with the traditions of Saudi Arabia. Now, WWE is coming under a lot of criticism, and maybe rightly so. Triple H thought that his framework was, yes, we understand there's not going to be any women, and that sucks because we've got this whole women's revolution thing going on. But it'll be like Dubai a little. It'll be like Dubai with continued business there, and WWE is going to be making a lot of money on this show. So don't real reason why they're doing this. Maybe over time and with a more liberal kind of attitude settling in with Saudi Arabia, they might have a women's match on the show, but that'll happen over time down the road, which is kind of bullshit if you think about it. But what happens when you get a religious regime there?
Yeah,
shit happens.
Right.
And none of that shit is happening to women, I should say. For women. So if you're expecting to see a women's match on this card, don't.
It ain't happening, sadly. It's too bad it isn't, because it's a really good card. But yeah, so all right, so let's start off. We're gonna go quickly through these matches here, and then we'll move on from wrestling. So let's start off with the conclusion of the. Well, we'll start with the match I think is going to start it because they did this at WrestleMania too. These guys are just great. The Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe in an Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which may, if you heard the rumors, include Bobby Lashley as well, but it hasn't been announced yet, so we can't talk about. But right now it's a fatal 4-way: Miz, Rollins, Balor, Joe, Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Look, their match at Mania was good. Pretty much these. By that I mean Miz, Rollins, and Balor. Their match at Mania was good. But now we're adding Samoa Joe to the mix. His first match back after an injury. This is going to be a good match. Adding Joe to it makes it fresh. Plus, they'll probably make him look like a monster in this match to get him back over. I don't know. Look, Joe ain't going to win this match because Joe's going to face Roman Reigns and he's going to go on this. On the SmackDown. So Joe isn't winning this match. There's always a chance they had Bobby to it, that Bobby could win this match. But I don't even think that. I honestly think that either that Finn Balor is going to win or Rollins is going to retain. That's just my feeling. I suspect Rollins is going to retain. It's going to be a very good match. If they use the start tonight, which I imagine they will, again, it'll be great. But yeah, I'm picking Rollins to retain here. And what should be a long match. Mike?
I heard a rumor just before I came on. Yes, I know I sound lovely. That's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So I heard a rumor before I came on that they're thinking about switching the titles, which would mean that Miz or Joe would win here. And then, ironically, Jinder Mahal would win the other match. Distinct possibility. And besides, Miz and Rollins are wrestling at Backlash. So it would be pointless for anyone other than Miz or Rollins to win this match. So that being said, it's probably going to be Rollins. I think Seth Rollins is going to be retained, but if there's another guy who's going to win the match, it's probably going to be The Miz. Because one of those two guys has to win has to have the title to make the Backlash match mean anything other than just a grudge match. But the winner of this match probably spoils the winner of the Jeff Hardy Jinder Mahal match. So that's how that one goes. And it could build into the rumor that there's going to be several title changes.
Right.
There was rumor that several title changes will happen on this special. So
yeah, they're trying to get this. The whole event is supposed to be this huge thing, so that they're trying to make it impactful to get it over. But yeah, okay. So next up, we have the first of two tag team championship matches. This one's is Bray Wyatt and Woken Matt Hardy versus Sheamus and Cesaro for the vacant Raw Tag Team Championships. Mike, go ahead.
Well, I mean, this was super easy to call because neither the Bludgeons or the Usos are going to Raw if they win. So, unfortunately for Cesaro and Sheamus, they're going to put over the new champions on the way out. So, spoilers, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are going to be the Raw Tag Champions going forward. And Sheamus and Cesaro look to reignite their feud with the New Day on SmackDown. That's pretty much it. Got nothing else.
Yeah, this is a quick one. Because of them being on SmackDown, they're not going to win this match. Wyatt and Hardy are. So yeah, this is. I mean, look, it'll be a cool match, and the Woken gimmick with Matt and Bray is working really well. Sheamus and Cesaro, good hands. They've been amazing during their run together. So yeah, good match, but easy prediction. Wyatt and Hardy win this match. Sheamus and Cesaro go to SmackDown, where they'll no doubt be pushed as a tag team over there, and probably get about 2 or 3 more reigns. Probably, I imagine. Right, Mike?
At least. At least.
So yeah, hey, at least they're doing something productive. All right, next up, we have the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos. This one's a hard one to figure out because I like to think that the Bludgeon Brothers are going to retain because you just had them win it at Mania and you're trying to get them over as these monster heels. So I suspect, I'll predict that they're going to retain. But you never know with the Usos. They always like to surprise you and give the titles back to them. I really don't know where they're really going with this. I suspect maybe they'll use this to put over Sheamus and Cesaro and, turn them face and have them be the ones take it off the Bludgeon Brothers. I really don't know. I just don't see the point in putting the titles on them at WrestleMania and then taking them immediately off them. So this whole match will probably be very physical, designed to get the Bludgeon Brothers over as monster heels further than what they already have done. But yeah, I can't see a reason to take the titles off from here because it seems pointless to do that. So I think and not all these matches can be title changes. You know what I mean? They can't all be title changes. So yeah, I think Bludgeon Brothers retain here, Mike.
Well, I mean, the biggest rumor going around a few years last year was that they wanted the New Day to take all of the big records in the tag team title division. That being said, if you want the New Day to take the record, eventually you got to stop giving the titles to the Usos. Usos are at 5. New Day's at 4. Ironically, Sheamus and Cesaro also at 4. Just funny as hell.
Yeah.
So, is it 4? Is it 3 or 4? That's 4. The most prolific Raw Tag Team Champions are at 4. So yeah, you want the Bludgeons to get over, and they probably won't take the titles off of the Bludgeons until the multi-gag match, in which case it'll probably go to Sheamus and Cesaro, ironically. So yeah, I don't think the Bludgeons are going to lose the title here, especially can't be in the building. So you're building the Bludgeons up as monsters. The Usos got the victory tonight over Rowan. So you kind of need to put them over. Besides, it's been, a couple weeks since WrestleMania? At least give the Bludgeons a minute to breathe here as champions.
Right.
But it goes to show you how profoundly better the SmackDown Tag Team division is now. They have the Usos, they have the New Day, they have the Bludgeon Brothers.
Right.
And now they have Sheamus and Cesaro, and all 4, and now they have they have Anderson and Gallows, and all 5 of those teams are better than everything else on Raw.
Right.
By a country mile. So yeah, they made Raw's tag team division so much weaker. But yeah, the Bludgeons will retain here.
Okay. All right, so let's see here. All right, now we have a non-title match, Cena and Triple H. So this one should be easy, Mike. We've gotten this match about 400 times before. Go ahead.
John Cena versus Triple H in a special attraction match.
Right.
Okay, this match is going to get 30 minutes. Low estimate, 30 minutes. Probably the higher estimate will probably get 35. Anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. Cena's going to win this match because they're going to have him kind of get a win here to put somebody else over later. Triple H doesn't need to win this match, but he's going to get a win later on so he could put one of his guys over down the road at Mania. So,
okay.
I'm honestly surprised this isn't Kurt Angle versus me, but yeah, John Cena's going to win.
Yeah, this match is designed, with the Undertaker match at Mania. This match was designed simply to give Cena a win. Get these guys on the card in a match and get Cena to win. You're right, long match. I don't know if it'll go as long as you think it will, but it'll go pretty long. Cena's winning this match, and it'll be a good match. I mean, it's not, you've seen it a million times before, but yeah, Cena's going to win. All right, United States champion Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal. Yeah, this one's an easy one to call. They're not giving the title back to Jinder here. Unless you mentioned they might flip the titles, but I doubt it. I really do doubt it. Especially since they got Jeff facing Randy at the next pay-per-view. So, yeah, I think Jeff's going to retain here. They clearly have lost any interest in pushing Jinder Mahal. So, not a long match, pretty quick. Jeff wins, retains the title. Mike? You there? Did I lose you?
10 minutes, more than likely. Miz wins. Title here. Yes. Can you hear me?
Now I can. No,
You not hear me?
I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
10 minutes raw mat. 10. If Miz wins the title, then likely Jeff Hardy retains.
Hmm. Did I lose you?
No.
Okay. All right. For some reason, my mic was going down. All right. Okay.
I predicted this match twice.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Technical problems.
Shit.
Live podcasting. What are you going to do? All right. So we did that. Let's move on now. Undertaker versus Rusev. In a casket match. Go ahead, Mike.
Undertaker wins.
Yeah. It'll be quick. It'll be efficient. It'll be Undertaker going through his spots, and that'll be it. So hopefully Rusev enjoys the rub he's going to get from this being in the match, because I think that's the point of it. And just like the Cena match, very quick, runs through the spots, end the match, Undertaker wins. That's all you can really say. This is a way to get him on the card. It is what it is. So, well, that was quick. All right, so let's move on to the championship matches before we get to the Royal Rumble, which apparently is going to be the main event, which is sure that's the name of the event.
You forgot one.
What?
The Cruiserweight Championship.
Oh, I'm not seeing that on here. Okay, well, all right.
Well, okay. Let little backstory to this one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Then I'm going to run through this rather quickly. So pay attention. The storyline out to this match was set to be Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy missed his mandatory weigh-in. He was at 207 pounds, so he was taken out of the match. So Drake Maverick announced that there was going to be a gauntlet match of all things that would determine the new number one contender. This is building to a longer form story as Buddy Murphy, because that boy impressed people during that tournament. Buddy Murphy is WWE's best kept secret. He is phenomenal. So, Cedric Alexander versus to be determined. But don't be surprised if the person in this match is Mustafa Ali, because they did have a barn burner at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, it could be Ali's night. But if it's anybody other than Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander retains. And even if it's Mustafa Ali, there's a 50% chance of the title change, I think. Then likely, Cedric's just going to win, unless it's Mustafa Ali, in which case, pick it.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I could see it going either way. I'm gonna go with Cedric retaining, but I could see it going either way. Be a good match though. All right, championship matches. Next up we have WWE Champion AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Let's see if Shinsuke will use his finishing move in this match. Oh, that would DQ him, so I don't think he will. But anyway, look, I expect this match to be better than their match at Mania, because I think Shinsuke is going over here. I think this match, they'll have more of a story to tell because he's a heel now. I think it'll go longer. I think it'll be a better match. Shinsuke Nakamura wins the title here. I don't think it'll be clean, though, because they're trying to get him over as a heel, but I think Shinsuke is winning the match. Mike?
Remember when AJ Styles won his first WWE title? How did he win it?
Ball shot.
Ball shot Styles clash of Dean Ambrose. I feel like the title change is going to happen here. This should have happened in WrestleMania. The heel turn should have happened before WrestleMania. So the Royal Rumble winner can get a win at WrestleMania. There. But I think this is to rewrite the wrongs. I think more likely than not, Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win the title here. I hope the match is better than WrestleMania. I feel like there's going to be a ref bump. Unless AJ is wearing a cup, Fist to Dick, Kinshasa 1, 2, 3. So I think Nakamura is going to retain. He's going to win the title here, and it's about fucking time too.
Okay, so we have that match. Then we have the match that a lot of eyes were going to be on after what happened at Mania, when we all thought that Roman Reigns was going to win at Mania. It did not happen. Now with Brock's contract and everything else, who knows what will happen here in the Universal Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. By the way, Paul Heyman will not be at this event. It was announced. I don't know why, but he is not going to be at the event on Friday. So not sure what the reason is on that, but that's what got out this morning. So if I find out anything, I'll let you know. But so far, I haven't been able to figure out why that is. What'd you say?
So no, that's not me.
Oh. Okay, Justin. I don't know if I want to say that on the air. Okay, just all right. We'll leave that one alone. But yeah, Justin's indicating that it could be some personal thing with Paul Heyman. I'll leave it at that. A religious thing. I'm just gonna say that. Won't go any further than that. But anyway, but yeah, Paul Heyman will not be. I don't know if it's that. It could be a scheduling thing. I don't know. I just read today that he's not going to be there. That's all I know. I don't want to make any assumptions or anything, but it could be. I think it could be a personal thing. But anyway, Paul Heyman will not be there. So we got Lesnar versus Reigns in a steel cage match for the Universal title. Here's the thing. Mike, I think you're right. I think they're going to have some titles change hands, but I don't know if they want too many titles to change hands. It might be too predictable. But on the other hand, too, this is the one match where I think they need to have a title change because they got to get the title back on Raw. I'm just not convinced they're going to do that. I can see Vince loving the idea of Brock holding this title, going back to UFC. I can just see that. I think he might like the fact, the idea of, Brock goes to UFC, maybe wins the title there, and he's, dual champion. Also, we don't know what was in Brock's contract. I mean, if it's about him being pinned, well, this is the perfect opportunity to get it off him. I really don't know. I am no longer as sure about Reigns winning this match as I was maybe the night after Mania when they announced this match. And according to all the reports so far, they have yet to decide who's winning this match, or at least haven't put pen to paper as to who's winning this match. And the fact that they haven't yet tells you that Brock probably could win this match. Because that's the same thing that happened with Mania, too, where, week before they didn't know and then they gave it to Brock. If it was Roman, they would have made the decision by now. That's my feeling. Anyway, it'll be an interesting spectacle, a lot of physicality, maybe some blood. But I'm going to go with Brock retaining. Go ahead.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want to say Roman Reigns wins because one of the biggest details in Brock Lesnar's contract is he can't be pinned or submitted. Well, okay, can't be pinned or submitted. Allegedly, that's in his contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a cage match where you could win by pin, submitting, or escaping the cage. It doesn't make Brock look weak to have Roman Reigns escape the cage before Brock Lesnar. I feel like best case scenario, somebody comes out to set up Brock's SummerSlam feud, Bobby Lashley. Somebody comes out to set up Brock's SummerSlam feud and kind of allows Roman Reigns to kind of sneak a win here. Does it make Roman look like shit? Yes. At this point, does anybody care? No. So I think it could be. I don't know if this title is going to change hands. If the Intercontinental and the United States Championships do not change hands, this one's on the table. I will say that. because I don't think the SmackDown tag titles are changing hands, excuse me. So if the US and the Intercontinental titles do not change hands, I think this one is on the table, guaranteed. And they could sell it to Brock saying, all right, you're not getting pinned, you're not being submitted. Roman's just going to leave the cage. Bobby Lashley's going to interfere. That's going to be your big money match down the road is Lashley. So, or whomever. It's not going to be Braun. I think Braun's getting the title this year, but it's not going to be Braun.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I am going to say Roman Reigns wins. I guess. I don't know. It's 50-50. And I'm not discounting the fact that Brock Lesnar could win the title. Brock could like the idea of Brock will be UFC and WWE champion at the same time. Well, then Brock now has all the leverage. And he's not going to want to lose the WWE Universal title until, he loses the UFC heavyweight title. So what's the point? Just have him lose the title here.
Agreed.
And just move on with your life.
I agree.
Brock Lesnar is going to, regardless if he retains the title here or not. So, I don't know. I'm going to say Roman Reigns. You have your out. Use it. Take it. Abuse it.
You're not wrong. I agree with you. All right, and then finally, what is probably going to be the main event because it's the name of the show, the historic first ever 50-man greatest Royal Rumble match. I'm not going to list all the people that are potentially in the match, although we now know Zack Ryder won't be in the match. He injured his knee in a match on main event yesterday. So,
that's okay.
We don't know the extent of it, but he's getting an MRI done, so we'll see. But yeah, he won't be in it. All right, Mike. So your thoughts? Who do you think do you think there'll be any surprises in this match, and who do you think are the favorites?
Well, you have to fill it up, so there's probably going to be some returning people. Jericho's going to be in the match. Rey Mysterio's on the promotional posters, so Rey could also be in this match.
I think Rey is going to be in it. Yeah, I think I read that he agreed to do a one-off again. So yeah.
So I think Rey's in this match because he's on the promotional posters in Saudi Arabia for some reason. So, yeah, Rey's probably in this match. I think you're going to have some of the cruiserweights in this match. I think you're going to have some NXT guys in this match. Yeah, you probably will have a couple of one-offs in this match too. I can't tell you who, MVP. I can't tell you who. It's probably not MVP. But you're going to have it's going to be big. It's going to be a lot of people in the ring at one time. I don't know if they'll probably run it like the Royal Rumble, but 50 is a long time. So you're going to have a quote on 5-minute interval. You're not going to have 5 minutes. That being said, there's going to be some storylines taking place in here, but when it's all said and done, I'm about 65% sure that Braun Strowman's going to win this match. He's WWE's biggest regular attraction right now. You're going to put him over in this spot. Braun wins, I think.
I suspect this is based on my. First of all, I think you're right. I think Rey will be kind of like the big surprise. I think everybody else will be pretty much people. I know Big Show is going to be in it. Jericho. I don't expect any other surprise that we don't know. It's all people that are either on the card already or been around the company. I don't think there'll be any surprise but Rey. And Rey's not even a surprise. I think I read a couple of days ago that he's going to be in it. He signed a one-off appearance like he did at the Rumble this year, the other Rumble. I think it's one or two people that's winning this. I think it's either Braun Strowman or Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. It's the other guy.
I could see them giving it to Bryan because that they don't seem to want to give him the real Royal Rumble, so they could just justify giving him this Rumble. I could see that. I think you're right, though. I think Strowman's going to win it, so they can say they gave him something. But I think if anybody else besides Strowman wins it, it's Daniel Bryan. It's either going to be the most dominant guy on the roster or the biggest underdog on the roster. That's who I think it's going to be. I can't see it being anybody else. And I'm okay with either one, but I think Braun gets more out of it. People have been asking, before we move on out of wrestling, I wanted to just acknowledge, people have been asking what they get out of this. Like, is there a title shot? Like, what's the reason for this? Like, what do they get out of this for winning the greatest Royal Rumble, right? Now, I haven't really heard anything official, but one article I read said that it was indicated on I don't know if it's on the network or somewhere, that they'd be receiving a trophy similar to the women got at WrestleMania.
They're going to get a giant penis trophy?
That would certainly rival the trophy that the women got, right?
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
So if that's the case, it'll be interesting to see Braun Strowman looking at apparently a penis trophy.
Braun is going to try to work that golden shaft, I suppose.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Just give him a title shot. That's so much better. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. So that's the greatest Royal Rumble again that takes place on the network for this Friday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Kickoff show at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know if there'll be any matches on that, but we'll see. Now that's this Friday. Next week, a week from Sunday, the first Sunday of May, we will have WWE Backlash. We'll talk about that next week. So we'll leave it. And again, that'll be the first pay-per-view with the new situation, which is Raw and SmackDown talent on the same pay-per-view. So note that. We'll talk about that next week. So that's it for the wrestling. Now we move on. We're going to do TV picks first because again, we're going to combine the box office with the summer movie stuff. So, Mike, any TV picks this week?
Okay, so I finished Legends of Tomorrow. It was a phenomenal ending. It was a great end of season. There were callbacks to every major moment this season with every single major guest character. Except for John Noble, who was the big bad guy. Anyway, every major character and plot point had a big role in the finale. I'm glad to see Kid Flash is probably sticking around Legends. That's a really good choice. I'm disappointed Mick Rory, spoiler, didn't keep the fire totem. He gave it away because, in Rory's terms, he's too old to wear a necklace, which is probably the most Mick Rory reason for anything. So it's fair. But yeah, just a great ending to a great season. Legends of Tomorrow is the best show DC has on television. Period. End of story. Looks like we're going to have John Constantine more often next season. That's great. So can't go wrong right now. It's Legends of Tomorrow. It's firing on all cylinders. It's doing great work. Okay, number 2. I have seen a butt ton of Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I'm not watching Arrow, so I've been watching a butt ton of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I saw the first episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I wasn't impressed. But I realized once I got past the first episode, the show is funny as hell. So it's one of those sitcoms I just have been watching. But it is really phenomenal, and so Brooklyn Nine-Nine is highly recommended. It is a very funny show. I caught up with Lethal Weapon until I didn't see tonight's episode, obviously. But Lethal Weapon, great show. Good work. Still firing in all cylinders. I'm watching Lucifer. Thanks, Hulu. Fuck you, Spectrum. Lucifer it's been really good. There was a standout episode with Lucifer and Cain brought back Abel. And Abel was in the body of a woman. And I thought that was the strongest episode they've had by far. I am like 2 episodes, bless you, behind the show, so I'm looking forward to more Lucy. I'm looking forward to more Lucy. It's good stuff. Other than that, that's about it. That's about it right now.
I got to catch up on Black Lightning and Flash, and I'm not catching up on Arrow. So there we are.
Yeah, I don't have much. Just basically trying to think about what I've been watching because I haven't watched a lot. I've been watching baseball a lot this week. Let's see, what did I watch this week? Walking Dead wasn't on. I wanted to mention this last week, but I did watch Fear the Walking Dead last week. I actually enjoyed it with with the addition of Morgan to it, but I didn't watch it this week, so I can't really comment. But I did enjoy it last week. I thought it was a good episode. First time in like a season that I've sat down and watched the whole episode of it. So I've watched Arrow. I didn't really care about that. I'm up on Black Lightning. I've watched Flash. That's all right. Shield was good this week. They're actually shocking, to be honest. They're doing this weird, fun thing this year where you don't know who the big bad is. They keep kind of flipping it. So that's been really cool to see. Not very predictable. It was a good episode though. They answered a few questions. They moved things along. Shocking ending. So yeah, and progression. And I think I see how they're going to get around Infinity War with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, the movie got moved up a week, so we'll see how that works out. They might, if there is any tie-in, it'll probably be a week later than planned. But I can't help that. But yeah, it was a good episode. What else did I watch? I feel like there's more that I watched, but I don't feel like it's anything impactful. I got the chance to finally catch this show on AMC called McMafia. Which I kind of enjoyed it. It's such a weird name for the show. I feel like the name almost takes away from the show because you almost think it's gonna be like gimmicky and way too campy, but it isn't. It's really gritty and it's an enjoyable show. If you like crime shows like Sopranos, you think you'll like it. I have obvious reasons you'll probably like it, but it's a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's gritty, but it's got a little bit more. Not vibrancy. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Crap. I won't say campy, but it's a little bit more accessible. Like if you don't want it to be too dark, it's not so dark that it turns you off. So, I mean, if you're interested, check that out. It's on AMC. What else did I watch this week? There's something else I watched too. I did get the chance to check out a little bit of Roseanne just because from a nostalgia standpoint, I want to check it. I've been late in checking it out. It actually isn't bad. I will say this much though, compared to the old show in the 90s, it covers similar themes and it covers those kind of issues that are important to like families and stuff. It does do that and it does that well. I won't lie, but I don't like the look of the show. The look of the show is very cheap. It doesn't look like, how I like when you watch like any other sitcom nowadays, it doesn't look fake, right? This looks like like if you ever watch Fuller House on Netflix, it looks like that. It looks like cheap sets, cheap everything. Everything, the lighting's just too bright. It looks very almost theatrical in a way. So that kind of takes away from it. But other than that, I think it's not. I've never been a huge fan of that show. But I've always appreciated what it did, and it obviously paved the way for a lot. It still does that. If you like the original, you like that one. It's not a bad show. That's not my cup of tea. That's all. But all right, I'm out of anything. I can't think of anything else. So that's good because we want to move on anyway. So that's it. TV picks of the week. There you go. Now, we got some box office to get to. First off, let's look back at last week's box office really, really quickly before we move on to this week and previewing this summer. Last week ended up being a pretty good weekend to end the spring season on and get some momentum going into the summer movie season. A Quiet Place reclaimed number one with 20.9 million, only a 36% drop-off, which for its third week is terrific. It's really beat the odds for a horror thriller movie, even though it's PG-13. So congratulations to them. That movie's made over 131 million domestically. It's been great. And you had Rampage, which did drop off 43%, but still held above 20 million with a little over $20 million. So you end up with two movies over 20 million in the third week of April. That's very good. Now maybe, you know, upcoming spring break helped a little bit with this one. With this, I didn't factor that in last week, but maybe it did. But whatever, regardless, it really helps the box office. April was really made up for a lot of disappointment of March. So, you had two new releases that were expected to do decently. One was I Feel Pretty. Amy Schumer's newest film came in with $16 million, which isn't too bad. In third place, I was expecting a little less. It did pretty good. So $16 million, you take that. And then Super Troopers 2, which for some reason people thought was not going to make a lot of money. Well, it did very well. It defied expectations with $15.1 million in fourth place. That's a very good number for a movie that's budgeted at $13.5 million. I saw some estimates as low as $4 or $5 million. I didn't understand that. I figured it'd make at least 10, 12, maybe even 15 million. It actually came in with 15 million. So I wasn't thinking it defied expectations, but I guess people thought it wasn't going to do as well as it did. And so, but it did well. And, you know, it's a good number. It's a very good number. Outside of those movies, you had Truth or Dare drop from third to fifth, 7.7 million, 58% drop off as it gained 39 theaters. Ready Player One went from fourth to sixth in its fourth week, 7.4 million, a 35% drop off. Blockers dropped from fifth to seventh, 6.8 million, 36% drop off for that film. And everything else finished under 5 million. Black Panther barely under 5 million, right around 4.9 million. So not bad there either. So really, if you count Black Panther, round it up, 8 movies over 5 million for the third week of April. A very, very good total. So good momentum going into the summer movie season for the box office this year. Outside of the movies over 5 million, nothing else really of interest to talk about. So let's flip the script. That was last week. This is this week. And this week is all about one movie, which moved up a week. Now, what is the impact of it moving up? Remember, this is supposed to come out May 4th, Avengers Infinity War. Now, all that's on May 4th is a comedy called Tully from Focus Features, starring Charlize Theron. It's R-rated, so you don't expect much from that one. Overboard, a romantic comedy from Pantheon, starring Anna Faris. Eva Longoria. So again, you don't expect a lot from that one. And then Bad Samaritan, a horror thriller from Electric Entertainment, starring David Tennant, which again, none of these movies, and that's R-rated, none of these movies are supposed to do much. So Avengers is going to have 2 weeks, essentially, maybe even 3, because all they got on the 11th to face is Breaking In, a thriller for Universal, starring Gabrielle Union and Billy Burke. That ain't going to do a whole lot. And then you got Melissa McCarthy's newest film, Life of the Party, from Warner Brothers New Line, which might piggyback on Avengers a little bit and get the female audience, but really this next 3 weeks until Deadpool comes out on May 18th, it's about Avengers. So they get so by doing this, what they did and getting it closer to the worldwide premiere date, which was yesterday, and trying to eliminate spoilers, even though that's a futile effort. By doing what they did to kind of close the gap a little bit, they also give themselves 3 full weeks without any competition. So this movie's gonna rake a lot of money, and definitely be the #1 movie of this summer, no doubt. So let's talk about that. That is the biggest release of this weekend, opening in 4,470 theaters. Disney Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War. I'm not gonna read the cast list because it's massive, but you know, if you've seen an Avengers movie or any Marvel movie, pretty much anybody you can think of is in this movie. Directed by the Russo brothers. The reviews have started coming out. They're all pretty good. There's a couple of middling reviews, but I'm just going to say this right now. Everybody expects this weekend to be a record-breaking weekend. I think it will be a record-breaking opening weekend. The estimates right now are pegging this movie at least 225 million, which wouldn't be a record. It'd be second place, but you got to figure that this movie will exceed expectations even a little bit. And if it does that, it will beat Star Wars. So, you know, to beat Star Wars, I think it has to go with 235, I think. I'm thinking around 240, 245. I don't think it'll beat it by a lot. Only because it's a longer movie. That means less showings. Force Awakens was just as long, but with the holidays not being a factor. Then again, maybe the part of the reason why they moved it up was because of spring breaks. That might help in its favor. So maybe, I don't know. I just tend to think this movie, it's going to be held back by the content a little bit, the length. So I think that holds it back from doing more than what it could do. But I've seen some people say it could do 270. I don't know if it can get to that point. I would go with maybe 240. But either way, it's going to get the opening weekend number, I think. And what it does after that, we'll see, because I haven't seen it, but like I do with a lot of movies, I do spoil myself. And I'm just going to say this to anybody else out there, and I don't want to judge or anything, but please don't spoil yourself on this movie. Because I think this is one of those movies where a lot of people that, even though they don't usually mind being spoiled, I don't think you want to be spoiled on this movie. I'm okay with it because I've been following it enough to know kind of already what was going to happen before I spoil myself. But I would not spoil this movie for yourself or the next one. I really wouldn't. If you're a Marvel fan, I just wouldn't do it. So try to stay off social media and stuff until Thursday. Might be my advice. But once people see this movie, I think this movie, I don't know if it's going to be as divisive as The Last Jedi, but it could be. Only because I don't know if some people are going to get it. I think if you're a Marvel fan, you know the stories, you'll get it. But if you don't, I don't know if they will. And then there's also the fact that it's very dark and it's brutal. And you know, the Marvel movies have always been a little bit more family friendly. This movie doesn't look very family friendly, and that could hurt repeated viewings. That could cause some parents not to take their kids. So that could have an impact on the film's box office here. Now, next year's, I don't think so, not so much, because next year's I think will be a lot more brighter and more hopeful. This one's very dark. They're calling it the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU. So I don't know. That could hurt it a little bit. But nonetheless, I still think it'll have enough juice to get the opening weekend number. So, and still be the number 1 movie of the summer, in my opinion. So, like I said, I'm going for 240 on the weekend. I think most people are thinking $500 million worldwide for the opening weekend. So that's why I'm going to go with it. Could be higher. It's just hard for me to imagine it getting higher. I don't think it'll be much lower, though. At worst, it's going to be second to The Force Awakens opening weekend. So outside of that, this is one of those weekends. Once you get to summer movie season, we all know what happens. You got that first big movie, and then everything else is kind of crashes and is kind of way below that first big movie. So I would suspect that you'll have Avengers at 240. You'll probably have A Quiet Place at like 11, 12 in second. Rampage maybe around 10, maybe 9 as it loses theaters. I feel pretty right around maybe 8, 9. Super Troopers right around there as well. Truth or Dare, Ready Player One, and Blockers all around $5 million. And I think that's how things will fall this weekend here. Now, before we go into further detail about the summer and in general, and kind of gauge things in a little bit, I won't say a long segment, but detailed segment. Mike, do you have any thoughts on last week's or this week's upcoming box office?
Avengers wins, LOL.
Yeah. Wins everything, pretty much, LOL. All right, so as I said, the setup here is with Avengers moving up a week, it gives a whole week to itself. Again, maybe spring break will help it too, so maybe that's why they did it. I mentioned some of the movies coming out over the next 2 weeks. None of next week's offerings figure to be very small in terms of box office impact. The week after, Life of the Party with Michelle McCarthy might do well, might piggyback off Avengers and get the female audience. But really, this next 3 weeks will be all about Avengers. So what's the next big weekend to kind of look at outside of Avengers? And again, we'll talk about Avengers and its box office impact and what it could do. We'll see if the darkness of the film hurts it, maybe with families, if the divisiveness of the film hurts it. We'll see. Either way, it's going to make $1 billion. You know, it figures to make at least as much as Black Panther and The Last Jedi. Do I think it's going to do what Avatar, or do I think it could do what Force Awakens did in the long term and be the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time or better? I no longer think that, because I think the next one could be that, because I think people are going to want to see a hopeful ending or the ending to this. But I don't know. I don't think this film will do that, because I think some people are just going to be kind of like, oh God, you know, not that the film's bad, but I think it's going to be a lot for people to take in. And I think some families are going to be turned off by it. That's just my feeling. So, but like I said, after this weekend, the next kind of big weekend to circle is May 18th. Weekend of May 18th, which is when Deadpool 2 is released. That film moved up from the first week of June. Basically with the thinking that they're no longer afraid of Solo, a Star Wars story, which in turn, you're hearing rumors that Disney and Lucasfilms are not exactly hopeful about it. but it should still do very well. But Deadpool figures to do a huge number. Definitely will break 100 million opening weekend. You might even be looking at a 170, 180 million dollar weekend. It won't break any records, but it'll be a huge opening. It'll be among the best we've seen. There's a lot of anticipation for it after the first film. So, but outside, what does Deadpool have to compete with that week? Jane Fonda, Lisa Silverstone, and Diane Keaton in a movie called Book Club, which will be appealing to more older audiences. So that one won't factor into too much. And Show Dogs, a comedy from Global Load starring Will Arnett and Natasha Lyonne and Chris Bridges. So that one doesn't figure to be that big of a draw either. So really, Deadpool have that weekend to itself. And then Memorial Day weekend, you have Solo, a Star Wars story from Disney Lucasfilm, which even if it doesn't get good reviews and even if it struggles, will probably still make at least $100 million and do reasonably well. So it's interesting because if you look at, and I'm going to set the tone for this whole summer segment here. Look at this month. Avengers is the last week of April, and then it dominates the first 3 weeks, right? Then you get Deadpool, which essentially has no competition, will dominate. And then you got Solo, a Star Wars story, which will do okay. But then along with Deadpool, those two movies will dominate. There's nothing else this month. Normally, you'd see multiple movies, right? Big movies. Not this month. Between Star Wars and Marvel, it's like everybody else vacated the month. And outside of a Melissa McCarthy comedy, there's really nothing else of note. It's interesting to see that. Now, once you get to June, it changes a little bit. You have Action Point, a comedy with Johnny Knoxville, Adrift, a drama starring Shailene Woodley. But again, neither one of those really big competition. So it's almost a weekend where Deadpool and Solo will hold things down. And then after that, you might get something with Ocean's 8, which is a female-led film with Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Rihanna, Helena Bonham Carter, Sarah Paulson. That one figures to do pretty good business, again, with that kind of reboot. And you have a horror film in Hereditary. So Ocean's 8 will probably be the first film outside of a superhero or a sci-fi fantasy film to do something this summer. And then after that, you got The Incredibles 2, which figures to do well. Again, that's the first animated film. What's the last animated film that we've seen? I'm trying to think. What was the last big animated film this year?
This year?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't think of one.
Came out recently, I thought.
I'm gonna look. I mean, there's nothing in May. There's nothing in April.
Good question. I don't know.
Let's see here.
Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit.
That was CGI.
Well, it kind of Sherlock Gnomes at the end of March.
Yeah, that might have been it.
And that flopped. Peter Rabbit, you can sort of count if you want to, I guess. That did okay. Early Man was an animated film, but that bombed. Yeah, it's been a long time to be Paddington 2, but again, that kind of falls in the same thing as Peter Rabbit.
That was live action.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's see.
That was live action.
If you're looking for the last animated film that did anything significant and had a lot of hype, was Ferdinand in December.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it was Ferdinand. Yeah, that's been a while. So Incredible, that's gonna help Incredibles even more.
Well, of course, it's The Incredibles.
I mean, that's been something that a lot of people have been waiting for, but that's gonna help it even more. But yeah, you got The Incredibles, and then you got Jurassic, a comedy called Tag first, starring Ed Helms and Jeremy Renner. Superfly, that one's not gonna do very well. Jurassic World after Incredibles, and then after that you got The Hustle, which is a comedy from MGM. Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. That one might do okay. A lot of female-led comedies, which is great. We need more comedies this year. So we haven't had a lot of comedies lately. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, which I don't know if that's going to do very well. I think they put in the wrong spot. Uncle Drew, a comedy starring Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Kroll. That should be interesting.
Uncle Drew?
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's happening. June 29th.
I'm moderately interested in it.
July 4th, you got the first Purge from Universal. Ant-Man the Wasp on July 6th. Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, July 13th. Skyscraper.
Wait. The first Purge?
Yes.
Oh, why won't those movies purge themselves from our national consciousness and go away to the depths of hell where they belong, so we never have to see another one of those shit fests?
Because they keep making money, sadly.
When you go see that piece of shit.
When you see their budgets, it's not surprising they make money because they're so small. But yeah,
if they want to throw money at disappointing things, they could just look at a mirror and throw dollars at them instead of going to see the Purge. And in which case, they'd be saving money anyway because all they would have to do is pick up that $12.50 from the ground. And decide to see a much better movie, or especially a much better horror movie.
All right. Hotel Transylvania 3, July 13th. Skyscraper, the Rock's latest action film. Friday, July 13th. So, 2 Friday the 13th this year, but yeah, The Rock. So that'll make money.
Sure.
Mamma Mia, here we go again, July 20th. Equalizer 2, and then Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible Fallout, and then Teen Titans Go to the Movies from Warner Brothers.
Oh, I imagine that Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I feel kind of bad for my last statement, but it just shows how much I dislike the Purge movies in general.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
August, we got Disney's Christopher Robin. That might be okay. Darkest Minds. Mile 22. Mark Wahlberg, Ronda Rousey. Seems like a generic action film. Searching, a thriller. I'm going over this quick because there ain't a lot this summer, to be honest. John Cho, Deborah Messing. The Spy Who Dumped Me, an action comedy starring Mila Kunis and Kim McKinnon. That might do well. AXL, family adventure. Not going to do much there. Dog Days, a drama starring Vanessa Hudgens and Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria's got some stuff coming out this year. The Meg, sci-fi thriller. Jason Statham. Alpha, action thriller, August 17th. Cody Smith McPhee. I think I saw it. I think they postponed that movie a couple times. Crazy Rich Asians, a romantic comedy. There's that mid-August kind of like throw everything out there and see what sticks kind of films. Happy Time Murders with Melissa McCarthy. 3 Seconds. Joe Kinnaman, Rosamund Pike. Friday, August 24th. Leprechauns. Keanu Reeves, Alice Eve. I'm trying to see if Slender Man will do well. That's a horror film. That'll do well. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
That'll do well. And they said it perfectly at the end of August to try to do what It did last year. Even though it was in September. They're going to try to get that to do. August 31st, a sci-fi action film called Kin. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. August is a weak month. Wow. That's a weak. Other than maybe Christopher Robin and The Spy Who Dumped Me, I don't see anything doing anything significant. The box office is going to nosedive in August. Good Lord, that's a rough month. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to. Normally we sit here and we have a lot of movies that kind of look and go, every weekend this could do this could do that. Let's be honest here. Once you get out of May, it's weak. It's a week. I mean, you got Incredibles, you got Jurassic World. You got Ant-Man, which, again, Ant-Man's good, but it's not going to do huge numbers. Hotel Transylvania 3 will do okay. Skyscraper will do okay. Mamma Mia will do okay. Mission Impossible will do okay. After Mission Impossible, what's going to do? Maybe Slender Man, but wow, this is a weak summer. Wow.
4 months apart, 5 months apart.
Like April had more going for it than August does. That's shocking. I'm sitting here flabbergasted because this is the first summer movie preview where I'm going to just say this right now. If you take, it's going to be all about May. If it wasn't for Avengers and Deadpool and even Solo, and after that, it's just Incredibles, Ant-Man, and Mission Impossible. Really, this summer has nothing. Jurassic World. Thank you. Appreciate. Okay, so other than those movies, that's it. I mean, I don't see how they think this summer is going to be better than that. Last summer, we had movies going right into the first week of August. July had Spider-Man, had Dark Tower the first week of August, right?
Disney's Christopher Robin will probably do good too.
I'll do all right. I mean, but nothing like earth-shattering. I mean, it's not going to do like $100 million box or anything.
I think it might do $100 million box. I think it might.
It'll do okay.
By that point, you're going to need some pretty a good, decent family flick, and that's been getting some good kind of buzz. So
I mean,
it could do 100 mil.
It is nice that there's a lot of comedies this summer, like even a lot more female-led, which is great because that they need those. But
Spider Dump Me had a pretty funny trailer, I guess. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the fall has some movies of note, but we're not doing a fall preview right now. But still, like I don't know. I mean, they're gonna live off. They're gonna live off of May.
I mean, there's going to be some big movies kind of scattered. You mentioned Jurassic World, Incredibles, maybe Mission Impossible. I think Christopher Robin. I have more faith in that movie than you do, and probably some Skyscraper. But yeah, it's a weak summer.
It's a very weak summer. I mean,
Deadpool. Damn for Deadpool.
I mean, Deadpool probably could have stationed itself in late July and had 3 months to itself. They wanted to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jesus. But I mean, I know why they made the move. They're not afraid of Solo, but still, they could have stationed themselves anytime they wanted this summer and been just fine. You know, normally I'm sitting here and we talk about this every year when we do the summer movie preview. What do I usually do? I have like a list of like 15 movies I want to see. You know, this year. It's for me, it's May, and then there's maybe like 2 in June that I'm interested in, and then maybe 2 in July. Actually, 1 in July, probably. So
I'm looking at November right now. November's kind of stacked.
November's good.
Bohemian Rhapsody, that could be an early Oscar favorite, even though Bryan Singer's directing it. Bryan Singer's directing it, but it could be an early favorite. Fantastic Beasts. Crimes of Grindelwald, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Creed 2, another Robin Hood movie.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's moving into December. Mary Poppins Returns. Untitled WP event film. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
And then if you move it to October, you've got Goosebumps, you got Venom. The trailer was okay for Venom. You've got the new Halloween movie. If you've got Goosebumps, so if you're thinking about paying to see The Purge, maybe hold that movie until October. In which case you could see Goosebumps 2, or Halloween 2018, or maybe if it's really burning a hole in your pocket, just wait until September, where you could watch The Predator 2018. Or, I don't know, literally anything else. Because it's a bit of a rough one. Darkest Minds could be something for your horror dollar or replicas. But, yeah, I mean, other than that, I just named off all the big movies for the rest of the year, too. Yeah, after May, the rest of the year is kind of lacking. But hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to ask me. They're going to say when I get off the air tonight, they're going to be like, "Well, wait a minute, you really didn't say anything." You know, normally you go movie by. There's nothing to say. This movie is Avengers are going to be number 1 by a lot. Deadpool will probably take 2. I don't think Jurassic World will do nearly as good as the first one. That'll probably be right there at 3, and then you'll probably get Incredibles, and then you'll probably have Ant-Man, and that'll be it. Oh, Skyscraper Worldwide might do numbers and break into the top 5. But other than that, Solo. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Avengers, Deadpool, Solo. Well, what else should I go? Jurassic World. Which could beat Solo, mind you. Then maybe Skyscraper. I can see The Rock's Worldwide Appeal helping that one. Then Incredibles. That's really all you got. That's all you got. There's nothing to talk about. I mean, I guess your hope is that a lot of these movies end up becoming bigger hits. Like look what happened in April. Some of these movies became bigger hits than you thought. And that holds things up. But otherwise, I mean, it is good to see a lot of female-led films, especially comedies. That's good. That needs to continue. That is good to see. And again, hopefully some of these movies turn into hits. But realistically, as far as tentpoles, it's a weak year, especially after May. So there's not much to say. I can't even. I'm looking at this. I don't even see it. The only one, The Spy Who Dumped Me could end up being a sweeper hit. That's the only thing I got as far as the sweeper goes. I can't pick out any other sweepers. I don't see any other potential in anything else. I really don't. Ocean's 8 will probably do okay too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't. This is the first time I'm kind of flabbergasted when it comes to some movie preview. It's the first time. I got nothing. It's pretty sad, isn't it? Pretty sad. Normally I can sit here and go, oh, we got this and that, and well, okay. Let me do one more thing here. Which movie do I think is going to really, really flop? As far as summer goes. And by flop, I don't mean a small budget movie that just doesn't do well. I'm talking about a lot of people thought early on Solo would flop. A Star Wars movie's not going to flop. It might not. It might disappoint, but it ain't going to flop. I think Sicario is a bad choice for where they put it, but I don't think it's going to flop. Purge won't. Let's see. Sure. I don't think there's a true total big box office flop anywhere. I don't see any that's that's got like a huge budget that's going to totally flop. I mean, the one that everybody thought would be Solo, but I don't think that one's going to flop. Might disappoint, but I don't think it's going to flop. So I don't think there's a true flop this summer. I really don't. There might be some movies that disappoint, but I don't think you're going to see anything that like that's $200 million or $300 million budget is going to flop. So I don't think we'll see that. So, yeah. But as far as any surprises, I could see The Spy Who Dumped Me being a surprise and doing okay, being like a sleeper hit. Other than that, so yeah, that's all I got. So, Mike, you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I know that was probably the weakest summer movie preview that we've ever done, but it's indicative of what I think is going to be a weak summer in terms of amount of big releases. Which is weird because I remember sitting here a couple years ago and saying, "Oh boy, the next couple summers are really stacked." And last summer I thought was really stacked, and end up in some ways disappointing. And I didn't think it disappointed, but apparently prognosticators thought it disappointed. And this year doesn't feel like there's much of anything, even though we thought it was stacked. I don't know if movies moved out of the summer. I can't remember if anybody got delayed or got postponed or moved up. I don't know. Only thing I really saw that got changed was Deadpool, and that just moved up 2 weeks. So, yeah, I don't know. This is not really that stacked. Not as much as we thought it was. I don't know if I'm going to check really quickly and see what the 2019 thing is, just for curiosity's sake. Just to see if maybe I was thinking about 2019 more in 2018. Let's see. New Mutants got moved to next year. So did Dark Phoenix. I don't know if that was. Oh, yeah. New Mutants. When did New Mutants get moved to? I thought it was 2019. Bumblebee's in December. Mary Poppins Returns. Dark Phoenix is in February. Let's see. Captain Marvel's in March of next year. Dumbo, Wonder Park, Godzilla, Shazam, April. Avengers 4 next May. John Wick Chapter 3. Aladdin. Gambit next June. Charlie's Angels. Toy Story 4. Men in Black. Spider-Man Homecoming 2. New Mutants is August of next year. Okay. Okay, next summer is definitely more stacked. So I might have been thinking about next summer, 2019. Check this out, Mike. Listen to this lineup for next summer. I'm not even talking about the spring because we're not talking about spring. But this is what I was probably thinking. This is what you call a stacked summer. Okay, in May, you got Avengers 4, Detective Pikachu, John Wick Chapter 3, Aladdin. That's just in May. June, Charlie's Angels reboot, Gambit, The Secret Life of Pets 2. There's an untitled Fox Marvel film in there. I'm guessing that's going to be X-Force, but we'll see. The new Men in Black movie, Shaft reboot, Toy Story 4, Transformers 7. I thought Transformers was done, but whatever. It's there. July, untitled Conjuring film, which will make money, whether you like it or not. Spider-Man Homecoming 2, Top Gun reboot, The Lion King. And then Fast and Furious spin-off film, and I think that's the Rock's movie. And then August, you got Dora the Explorer, new events, Artemis Fowl, which is from Disney, a new Warner Brothers DC film, apparently. Yeah. That's a better lineup. That's a much better lineup. So, again, maybe some movies got moved. Maybe some movies, I really don't know. But all I know is that this year's, again, ultimately in terms of earnings, it isn't going to be totally bad because May is going to really help to carry it. But it's going to make it, they're going to have to hope that the fall ends up helping out and making up for the summer. Just like April kind of helped make up for March. They're really going to have to hope. Because once you get out of May, June will have a few things, and then July will have a few things, but it's very few and far between. And then late July and August is actually, other than Mission Impossible, is really miserable. So it's kind of a weak summer. Get out and do other things, because there ain't a lot at the box office, that's for sure. So yeah, this was probably the weakest summer movie preview, and it's fitting given what we got here as far as tentpoles go this summer. So, but the summer movie season gets underway on Friday or Thursday night, I should say, with Avengers Infinity War, a little earlier than normal here with the, again, moving up a week, but still, nonetheless, the summer movie season starts a little earlier. That's not a big deal. A couple years ago, I think Fast and Furious moved up. No, it didn't move up. It came out in April. Many people thought that kind of started it even before the quintessential May start, but not too bad. It doesn't really change much, just because the movie that comes out an extra week, so, But yeah, the summer movie season begins this week. We'll see how things fall, and we'll see how things line up. Maybe it ends up surprising me this summer. We'll see. Last year, people were disappointed, and then I didn't think it was that disappointing, but whatever. All right, so we did everything. We got through everything. So our movie preview, box office beat, TV highlights, all the restaurant stuff, all the sports stuff. We did everything. We're ready to go. That's it. So with that being said, as we wind down here, I want to remind you all the ways in which you can interact, contribute to the show, because the show is always something you have to stop contributing to the show. You continue to have your voice heard, send us your feedback and questions about the show, scheduling the show, topic ideas or breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Questions, reactions to things we said on the show or anything we talked about. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding the show or anything you tweet to us or directly at us. Again, you can find us on Facebook to search for In the Spotlight 411. Make sure that you like our fan page and follow us. Again, follow us on social media, Twitter and Facebook, so you get the latest information about the show. And, of course, get to interact with us as well. Any postponements or delays, we'll post on there. Anything about the show, we'll post on there. And, of course, again, you can interact with us on there as well. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter at ITSpotlight411. Remember, hashtag ITSpotlight411 for anything to tweet at us or directly to us. And, of course, on Facebook, search In the Spotlight 411 and make sure that you like our fan page so that you can interact with us. 2 ways to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. You can either stream us anytime on anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Of course, that's only our Google Plus and YouTube produced episodes that you can stream, but still you can do that nonetheless on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search In the Spotlight 411. When you do, you'll be taking our show pages on both sites where you can stream any of the episodes we ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube anytime you want. So just search In the Spotlight 411, and you'll be able to do all that on Google Plus and YouTube. If that's not your thing, maybe you want to listen to maybe you want to just listen to episodes instead of watching us. Maybe you're interested in older episodes of the show, or again, just want to listen to us on the go. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. To search In the Spotlight 411 on Podbean and iTunes. When you do, you'll be taking our show pages on both sites. We'll have access to every episode we've ever produced in the nearly 8 years we've been doing the show. So it's every episode from original Blog Talk Radio run. From October 2010 to January 2011, all our episodes from our talk show run from January 2011 all the way up to mid-October of 2015, and all of our episodes from Google Plus and YouTube from mid-October 2015 all the way up to tonight's current episode, all transfer into audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done in order from the most recent, that being tonight, all the way to the oldest, way back in October 2010. They're all available for you to listen to anytime you want. Listen to them on the go, listen to them at work, listen to them anytime you want. Again, whether you're checking out an episode from way back when for the first time, or checking it out again, or checking out a recent episode to keep up with things, whatever the case may be, you can do all that and more on Google, on Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. So Google Plus YouTube, Podbean, iTunes. Again, Google Plus YouTube, Podbean, iTunes are your ways to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411, and you can do all that and more. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
It's time for bed.
I want to thank myself for another great show. Pat myself back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those that will be watching, listen to this later, thank you to you as well. That is it for this week. This is our only show of this week. We'll be back with you all a week from tonight for our first show of May, and that will be next Tuesday. Let's see, May the 1st at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. That will be our next show. We'll do our MLB preview. We'll cover the NBA playoffs, talk about everything that's transpired there. We'll look back at the this coming weekend's box office, see how Avengers did. TV picks. We'll also preview WWE's Backlash pay-per-view and do some other wrestling things as well. I'll talk about the greatest Royal Rumble, all that and more on next Tuesday's show. So it'll be a jam-packed show again. So make sure you join us 1 week from tonight for our only show up next week, next Tuesday, May the 1st at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. That is our next show. Also, if anything big goes on with the NFL draft, we'll talk that too. So that's for next week. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great weekend, and a great start to your week next week. We'll see you back here 1 week from tonight on Tuesday, May the 1st at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. For those that are finally getting a chance to enjoy spring-like weather, enjoy it. Be safe, and if you go to see Infinity War, enjoy. Like a lot of you seem to be. We'll be doing that Thursday, so that'll be cool. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you back here 1 week from tonight on Tuesday, May the 1st, 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, good night, everybody.